Hi, you guys. We're just going to wait for a couple people to join. But we are at we have some people joining?
Linda T.
So we are at the meeting of the Northwest UWL Lefties. And we just had a fabulous potluck with really delicious compliant food. And all of our friends are here. How many people are on?
It looks like 2.
2, awesome.
Jennifer Dyson's watching.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm not actually watching. It's will begin in a moment.
Yeah, I think I'm fine right now.
Are you okay?
Well, yeah,
I promise I won't make it that long though. So I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. So I wrote a little poem that ended up being a little essay called The ABCs of Losing 300 Pounds. On October 18th, I met my goal of taking off 300 pounds. And it didn't take me that long, only 10 years. So along those 10 years, and a lot of bumps in the road, and a lot of falling off the wagon, and then having the wagon run over me, and then having the wagon run over me again, I learned a lot of things. And so this is my summary of what I learned over that course of time. So A is for abstinence and getting off the sofa, the sugar, the oil, the flour, and alcohol. It really is true that if you want to have a calm, stable brain, until I could do that, my brain would not, it was like a little child that was nagging me in the grocery line. Please, can I have it? Please, 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 please. And when I finally said no, and if you ask me again, you'll be in trouble, then it finally stopped. And it's such an amazing feeling. So I always say I can stay off sugar just as long as I stay off sugar. Accountability. Having my channel and knowing I had to weigh in with the whole world watching was very motivating week after week. And having accountability partners who would help me and help me keep back on track, and that was amazing. B is for believing in myself. This was a tough one because I didn't believe that it was going to happen, because I literally failed every time I tried, going back to age 11. I have taken off 100 pounds or more 3 times now. I have taken off between 40 and 80 pounds so many times I can't even keep track of them all. I would always get to a certain point and then just like lose steam because it was such a long journey. I had to believe it before I could see it, which is, if you think about it, the very definition of faith. And as Jesus, who's one of my heroes, said, my faith has healed me. My faith really did. I believed it, and then I saw it. C is for consistency. Eat fruits, vegetables, seeds, beans, and whole grains. Get your greens in. Take a walk. Take another walk. Get your steps in all day long. Learn and be inspired on a daily basis. It's not a get inspired once and then you're done. Get enough sleep, and then get up tomorrow and do it all again. And that is how you do it. And C is also for commitment. I decided that I would make this happen no matter what. I was willing to do literally whatever it would take to make it happen. Like whatever you tell me, I'll do it. I would not accept failure or quitting as an option. I knew that if this is happening, it's just a matter of time. And I just have to be patient. And it's happening now. Determination sounds like the same thing, but it's true. Nothing was going to keep me to my goal, from my goal. And then dedication. And what I mean by that is actually dedicating resources to the outcome I wanted. So dedicating my resource of time. Time to prep food, time to exercise, time to get social support. You know, I've been a single mom since my kids were really little, and time is a really precious thing to me. But I get up really early in the morning because exercise is not optional. I get up really early in the morning because food prep is not optional. If I don't plan for success, I won't have it. And so dedication for money for healthy food, for books, for conferences and webinars, and dedicating my thoughts to being very singular on my focus and my goal. Yeah, it really takes, like when those other thoughts creep in, oh, I would like that thing, just shutting it down. Like, don't even go there because it's not happening. E is for evolving and changing. And what I mean by that is I started out as a raw foodie, and I would have sworn up and down and sideways that it was the healthiest diet, you know, and you need your enzymes and everything like that, and vegan diet. And I still think there are a lot of things, the great things about raw food. And I kept the greens and I kept the huge salads. But I also allowed myself to be educatable, you know, like I was willing to still continue to learn. And as the evidence came in and I found Dr. Greger and I found Dr. Furman, and it made so much sense, I added back the black, you know, the beans and the legumes and the whole grains, sweet potatoes, steamed vegetables, and made my diet even healthier by drastically lowering the fat content. So no more endless nuts and seeds and avocados, which is what I liked about raw foodie, and cutting out the oil and agave and coconut sugar and all that stuff. So I think it's important to be teachable and to also keep up on the science and evidence-based food as medicine from reliable sources, and get, you know, they're not all the same. There's a problem with media in the United States that every time, and I was a journalism major, so I know exactly what's happening, is every time they interview somebody like a T. Colin Campbell, who's freaking brilliant and has 50 years of solid research behind him, they need a counterpoint. So they get some schmo that wrote a book about paleo who thought about the fact that, I wonder what cavemen eat. I think they ate meat. You know, like, he doesn't know anything, and they put them together, and then the public gets confused, and they don't know the science, and they don't know, you know. Then you got Al Gore being chicken and not saying the impact on the environment, you know. And so anyway, it's just, we have to keep beating the drum for people, because people are suffering. People are not going to be around to play with their grandkids because they didn't know. And our planet is suffering, and a lot of animals are suffering, and we have to just keep very gently pulling people in. And we can't be polarizing. We can't make people feel bad about their diet, feel guilty, you know, that we can't get stupid divisions like, I'm a raw foodist and I'm just a regular vegan and I'm a junk food vegan. Like, none of that matters. None of that matters. All that matters is that we're all evolving and doing the very best we can, and we need to pull people in and not divide people apart. Like, okay. Friends and family is F. And then social support has been a huge part of being able to sustain my effort over time. My friends are wonderful and are always there for me, you guys. And my kids have been unwavering in their support. And honestly, I can 100% guarantee you that I would not be here without the love and support of my family and my friends. G is for God, because I truly believe that it is only by the grace of God that I was able to overcome the toxic behaviors and addiction and resulting pain and self-worth, lack of self-worth, that had been the defining issue of my life. I can't come up with another, it's like a supernatural that I actually achieved this. And the same thing, the Holy Spirit, I always say, all glory and praise to the Holy Spirit for the gift of self-discipline and self-control. I asked to be delivered, and I was, you know, and I need people to know that, even if it's, I don't ever want to make anybody feel uncomfortable, but that's my truth. I is for inspiration. I was inspired by all the stories of people who have healed themselves of awful things and taken off huge amounts of weight, and all of you, I mean, there are 2 people in this room that a lot of you guys don't even know have taken off over 100 pounds. Like, I didn't know before today. People are getting well. There is hope. There is joy and happiness and a body that doesn't hurt. You know, my knees hurt, my feet hurt, my back hurt. I didn't have a good sleep for 5 years. And I just want to tell anybody that's still back there and still suffering, get inspired by all the people that have gone before you and have proven that it really does happen. J is for journey. And I had been the fattest person in every room that I had ever been in for the past 47 years. And even knowing how much I suffered physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I would go through it all again to have the lessons that I learned. I would. The tenacity, the empathy, the compassion, and also the surety to know that no matter how many times I fail, I can always rise. Every time I fall, I can always rise. I didn't know that about myself, and I do now. K is for kale, of course, and collards and spinach and every kind of green. Greens enabled me to stick to this plan. I am firmly convinced that they cut the cravings for sugar and junk. L is for love. I had to love myself enough to feel like I was worth it. I had to love my kids enough that I did not want them to have to take care of me when I got old, or to have to live with me dying young and not being there for them at all. Taking care of yourself is the ultimate act of loving your family. M is for mindset. I have been transformed by the renewing of my mind. As much as my body has changed on this journey, my mind has changed much more. And that is what I think that I'm trying to bring now, because I feel like that was what was missing from every diet book. They'll tell you what to eat. They'll tell you how to exercise. They'll tell you the practical nuts and bolts, but they never tell you how to take the knowledge and make yourself actually do it. And that's what I feel like that's the key that I finally got in the lock that got me there. N is for no. I learned, or in honor of my friend Zine, no. I learned to say no to eating things that are not for my highest good. I learned to say no to people who ask unreasonable things of me or are toxic and unkind. I learned to say no and not to continue with the disease to please. O is for openness. All along, I have let myself be an open book. I have shared my struggles and my victories. I have done the ugly cry on camera. I have shared my deepest, darkest secret, which was what I weighed. Not that you couldn't tell by looking at me, but you know, it was hard to say. With anyone in the world with an internet connection. In being vulnerable and sharing my story, I have heard from hundreds of people who said that I helped them somehow. Food addiction is a disease of isolation. I chose to come into the light, and it has made all the difference. P is for promises. I made a promise to my mom that I would take care of myself and get this weight off. And I made a promise to God that I would no longer eat animal products, sugar, oil, flour, or alcohol. And these two promises have made all the difference. One took away my ability to give up, and the other took away my ability to give in. Q is for quitting, and more specifically, quitting not being an option. Once I took the idea of quitting or not trying anymore away as an option, everything changed because I had to keep going and figure it out. So it made the stakes higher if I did eat off my plan, because I know I'm going to have to immediately, like the very next bite, the next meal, get right back on, and it's going to be hard. And then I'm not going to like my kale, and I really like my kale. I had to keep going and figure out how to resume. I had to get rid of that all or nothing diet mentality that was causing me to quit over and over again. R is for resiliency. I have heard it said that the definition of resiliency is the ability to go from, oh no, to, oh well. And I learned that if I got off track, I just had to find a way to get right back on. Every time you fall, you can either lay in the dirt and cry and kick and scream and you're still in the dirt, you know, or you can just get up and dust yourself off and keep moving. If you were running a marathon and you got to mile 25 and then you fell down, and are you going to turn all the way back and go all the way back to the start? Or are you just going to pick back up where you were and get back on? Or that I also like my GPS, when I make a wrong turn, she doesn't say, well, you're screwed now. You're stupid. I guess you're never going to get there now. You know, she says, she recalculates, she figures out where I am now and figures out how I'm going to get there from there. And when you have slip, if you'll simply figure out where you are now, what made you slip, where am I now, what do I need to do to get back where I needed to go, and without fuss or feathers, just get right back on. Simple. S is for simple. I learned to keep my food simple. No fancy recipes or keeping sauces and flavors to a minimum to keep from overexciting my very sensitive brain. I don't need any encouragement to eat more. I keep my food boring so the rest of my life can be fun. T is for trust. I learned to trust myself again. After lying to myself a million times and saying, this time is it. I am going to stay on this perfectly, and I'm going to get off all the way, and I'm going to keep it off, and I'm never going to slip. And I would lose credibility with myself so that, you know, like, sure you are. Like, I spent most of my videos in the first year, like, hedging my bets of, hey guys, I'm probably going to put this back on. Like, I've done this before. I'm a repeat offender. Like, don't put too much faith in me. And slowly over time, I have built up credibility with myself just by doing it every day, getting up and doing it again. And now I feel really strongly like I'm scared to jinx it and say it, that, you know, I don't think I'll ever go back there, because, not because of anything else except for I'm never going to stop doing the behaviors. I feel like if you can just do the behaviors, you'll get the outcome. If you make a recipe a certain way, it's going to come out a certain way, and I feel like I've got my recipe down now. Simple food, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, you know, veggies and more veggies, right?
And starch.
And starch, yes, and delicious, yummy starch, but not too much. I believe in me. I put Ulu is for you, my favorite Alaskan knife that cuts my huge salads down to tiny. I would not want to miss it. I would not want to live without it. Vegetables is for V. Veggies for breakfast. Veggies with lunch. Steamed veggies. Raw veggies. Veggies are the secret to my success. W is for willingness. I am willing to be temporarily uncomfortable. I am willing to do whatever is required to take this weight off and keep it off forever. I'm literally willing. I'm willing to learn and grow and change my thinking as needed. X is for X. I see myself as an ex-fat person. I spent 47 years as a fat person, and I feel like I've really gotten everything out of that experience that I possibly could. And it got a little boring. So I'm ready to spend the rest of my life learning the lessons of a healthy, slim body. And I'm very excited to start on that journey. Y is for yes. Yes to life. Yes to being positive, being grateful, always. Yes to believing that it's possible. And Z, there is no Z. But my journey has just begun. So if there is a Z somewhere in maintenance, I'll come back and tell you about it. I love you guys.
I will pan. Here's everybody who's here.
Hi.
Smile at the camera.
Hello.
Okay, we're coming back. There's Heather again.
Hi, you guys. Amazing food here in Richfield, Washington. Have
Okay.
fun.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heather.
All right, and then I had just